And we're following the latest reaction to the Durham report on Capitol Hill. House Judiciary Chairman Jim Jordan is calling on him to testify next week. And joining us live on Capitol Hill with the latest details, our congressional correspondent, Kilmeny Dukart. Kilmeny.
Katrina and Bob, good to be with you. The stunning conclusion of John Durham's 306-page report is that the FBI and the DOJ failed to uphold their mission of strict fidelity to the law when it launched this investigation, suggesting that senior FBI personnel displayed a serious lack of analytical rigor toward the information they received. These were investigative leads that were handed over by Trump opponents when neither U.S. law enforcement nor intelligence officials possessed any evidence of collusion when launching Crossfire Hurricane. And these were the individuals that knew about it. The report says CIA Director John Brennan subsequently briefed President Obama and other senior national security officials on the intelligence, including the alleged approval by Hillary Clinton on July 26, 2016, of a proposed from one of her foreign policy advisors to vilify Donald Trump by stirring up a scandal claiming interference by Russian security services. Republican House Majority Leader Steve Scalise weighing in on the report's findings earlier today.
The concerns are, we support men and women in law enforcement. Nobody supports dirty cops. And if there's dirty cops, they need to be rooted out. And we want to start seeing that level of accountability. And the Durham report shows you a roadmap of where some of that accountability needs to be administered. They need to do their job cleaning house as well.
The FBI responding to the report's findings, saying the conduct in 2016 and 2017 that Special Counsel Durham examined was the reason that current FBI leadership already implemented dozens of corrective actions, which have now been in place for some time. Had those reforms been in place in 2016, the missteps identified in the report could have been prevented. Well, Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, who chairs the House Judiciary Committee, says the only way to reach accountability here is to go through the appropriations process, to use the power of the purse to get control over these agencies. But before that even happens, he's called on John Durham himself to testify here on Capitol Hill next week.
All right, Kilmeny Dukart, thank you. And here with more, retired Lieutenant Colonel and President of the London Center for Policy Research, Tony Shaffer, plus former CAA Covert Operations Officer and CEO of Portman Square Group, Mike Baker. Great to have, that was Katie Schurzkowski.
That's Katie.
She'll be coming up.
Wait a
minute. But Mike, I'm going to start with you here. What stands out most to you in this? I mean, there's a lot of layers, a lot of nuances, but what for you, with your CIA mind, are you saying, that's most interesting part?
I would say that the most interesting part, and it's also in a way the least surprising part of this, is that once again a DC investigation goes nowhere, right? So hundreds of interviews, hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million documents reviewed, and essentially there will be no result, right? We'll talk about it, but both sides will find exactly what they want in this, right? Okay. And by that I mean, conservatives, Republicans, Trump supporters will look at it and go, see, we told you. They should never have started this, and they shouldn't have. But, the Democrats will look and go, there's no charges being brought to this. Nothing was illegal, so move on, right? Nothing to see here. Yeah. And that's a standard response, and that's a standard result of any investigation, it seems, that starts up on Capitol Hill.
Okay, well, Colonel, I have a feeling that you do have a viewpoint on this that might be on a particular side of the aisle. Give us your take on what you see in here that you have a problem with.
Well, first off, I was on record for March 2017 saying this was a complete fraud. What's notable here, unusual to this specific issue, is this goes all the way up to Barack Obama, which I said it would back in March of 2017. And, I appreciate Mike's perspective. It may be true, but it can't remain true. This has to result in something relating to accountability. You cannot have official elements of the government taking a political side, no matter what side that is. And in this case, it's not only that the bureaucracy took a side, it actually perpetuated and provided the tools for the media to not report, but to promote a certain perspective. So these things are something we cannot sustain or allow if we're going to maintain our republic.
I just want to make clear the problem that you have is there was a meeting in which the CIA director went, or I should say Brennan went to Obama and company, if you will, and told them that Hillary Clinton was planning on a campaign tactic in which they would throw something out there about Russian collusion. Am I correct on that's one of the things you're pointing to?
Bob, you are absolutely correct. Plus the Susan Rice memo of, I believe it was 7 January, where she acknowledges they all met and discussed this in the Oval Office. So yes, all roads lead to the very top, from John Brennan briefing to Susan Rice coordinating. So again, we cannot allow any political party to have the immense power and capacity of the federal bureaucracy, the federal intelligence bureaucracy or investigative bureaucracy supporting its perspective. And that's what makes this more dangerous than other events of wrongdoing.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, you know, if there is anything that should happen, some suggest that all the people who knew about it should go before the bar. Others say there should be other consequences. It does seem concerning, as the colonel pointed out, though, that even a former president, the then vice president, that would be now President Biden, knew about this entire plan.
Well, no, it's very disconcerting, all right? And it should never happen. I mean, so
but now what?
But, well, and that's what my point is from the first comment, is that the now what is always going to be unsatisfactory. This is the way that Washington works. It is a black hole, right, of dysfunctional behavior, and it's where all investigations go to die. So yes, you should have some results here, right? There should be. You shouldn't just be able to do this, right? Jim Comey shouldn't just be able to push something and be aggressive about getting a FISA based on nothing. There was no reason to start this investigation, and look what it did to the country. Yeah. But my point is, again, nothing will happen.
But it shows that Americans were lied to.
Yes, and if people pay attention, right, but, you know, what they're counting on, essentially, usually, either political party, they typically count on the fact that the American public has a very short attention span.
Well, Colonel, among the things that were recommended, changes in the FBI. But that was a preceding FBI. So what the current FBI director said is we have made these changes. We are going deeper into reviewing the information we get at the sources and all of that. That we're going to have training on it. That we're going to have better oversight. So the FBI is saying, you know what? We know you're recommending these changes. We've already done it.
Nonsense. They haven't done a thing, Bob. This is all about simply trying to put a pretty veneer on an outhouse. They are full of you-know-what here. Everybody who was involved needs to be in some way held accountable. That is to say, either fired, clearances removed, or some other federal action against them. Again, this was done with a great deal of knowledge, of prior intent to do harm. They did, in short, Bob, Putin's job. They did become what Russia wanted to have happen. They did conduct these operations in such a way to undermine confidence in our democracy. That's what Putin wanted. If there was any Russia collusion, it was them.
Colonel Shaffer, thank you very much. Mike Baker, stick around. I mean, you're in the studio and everything. You might as well.
Yeah, where am I going to go?
Yay.
Right?
Right there.
You got beverages, refreshments, condiments.
We do.
We're good to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a little refrigerator in there and says for guests only, and we get stuff out there all the time. So here with a legal review on this story, former prosecutor, constitutional law attorney, and Newsmax contributor Amir Benno, and constitutional law attorney Katie Cherkasky, whom we've already seen. So Katie, we'll start with you. Legally, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I'm a defense attorney. I spend a lot of time being a cynic of the government and police at large. I think that a lot of people, shockingly, were surprised to see the FBI's conduct in this case. I mean, the truth is that this is a very inconvenient reality, that the FBI and the DOJ are very politicized entities. And I agree, there's really nothing legally that can be done with these allegations. There's no federal charges that are going to be filed, and the law has such significant limitations. I think that is a shock to most people, and really that is the truth of the matter here, and sadly so.
Amir, last night on Newsmax's new show, Chris Plant, The Right Squad, Congressman Matt Gaetz had this to say about the Durham report.
There was an operation from beginning to end to fuse political opposition research from the DNC and the Clinton campaign with this intelligence process and criminal process. And it's a sad day in America, because if that had been a Republican operation, an operation to help a Republican candidate, this wouldn't have ended with a report. It would have ended with real significant indictments. The only indictment that Durham is able to cite here is the indictment of Kevin Kleinsmith. This was the FBI lawyer who changed evidence before a secret court. And guess what? He's already back to practicing law.
Yeah, Amir, Mike Baker just a few moments ago, and of course Katie Cherkasky both said, yes, there should be repercussions. There aren't going to be any. Your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I agree that this report shines a light on the explicit bias that exists in the FBI. Political bias, personal animus towards Donald Trump, and there needs to be real reform. And that can't just be words. And by the way, the one thing that wasn't mentioned, it's not just a collusion between Hillary's campaign and the FBI and the DOJ, and it's also the media. The media actively covered this up. They're not going to cover this story. They haven't been covering this story. They've been covering up this story. The FBI has completely been derelict. Their mission, of course, is protect the American people, uphold the Constitution. None of the above was done. And so it falls now to Congress. Congress has the power to pass legislation to hold people accountable who hold these positions of public trust. So if they do, and by the way, it's not just lack of analytical rigor. Looking at the report, it says FBI personnel acknowledged that they did not genuinely believe there was probable cause to believe that the Donald Trump campaign was knowingly engaged in clandestine activities on behalf of a foreign power. They lacked probable cause, and yet they went forward with the prosecution. That is not just unethical, that is criminal. And so it should be prosecuted, but to the extent that it's not, it's on Congress to make sure we have legislation to hold those who have those positions of public trust accountable.